Hello everyone, my name is Tima and welcome back to the Race Edit and welcome back to a new video essay, or just welcome back to a new video in general. I'm so happy to be back. I mentioned in my previous video that I was going to be releasing a video that I've been wanting to do for quite some time now, but I was also a bit nervous because, it's something different. It's not like my typical videos where I speak on F1 and speak on racing. It's actually quite a bit different. Today's video is going to be about Red Bull, and not just Red Bull Racing, but Red Bull as a company as a whole. When you hear Red Bull, what do you think of? Because I know for me, when I was younger, when I first heard Red Bull, the first things I would think of was that they were an energy drink company and that they would give me wings. And I'm pretty sure if you were to go to the average person and ask them about Red Bull, they would say the exact same thing. But if you clicked on this video, like me, you know that they are so much more than an energy drink company. Now when I hear Red Bull, the first thing I think of is not energy drinks or that they'll give me wings. Honestly, I think of Red Bull Racing, and that's probably just because I'm a Formula One fan. But I actually also associate them more as an extreme sports brand, if anything. And this shift for me, associating Red Bull as an extreme sports brand, actually started a while back when I first started questioning what the heck was Red Bull doing in Formula One? What do you mean this energy drink company is racing cars? It just never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. So I started questioning, what is it that Red Bull does? And by the end of this video, I started asking myself, wait, what don't they do? That's the real question. Red Bull is a Goliath when it comes to the world of sports, and as the years progress, we're starting to see them branch out more into the arts and gaming and esports culture. You can go into any convenience store or grocery store in North America without seeing their canned drinks company, but now I'm starting to question everything. I think that they just create these canned drinks as a side hustle to fund what it is that they really want to do, which is to dominate the world. I'm kidding. But honestly, it feels like it. It actually, it feels like it. As I was making this video, I was like, nah, these guys are really everywhere. Like, you actually can't avoid them. They're really hidden. So in today's video, we're going to look into what it is that Red Bull actually does and what I believe to be their second most successful venture outside of their canned drinks, which I would have to say is their racing company. And what that means for the brand when there's a scandal involved in that racing company. Yes, we're going to get into that. But before we do that, let's just jump right into the history of Red Bull. The Red Bull that we know today actually derives from a Thai energy drink called Krating Dang. And please forgive me if I pronounce anything wrong. I'm not Thai, nor am I Austrian, so I'm going to get these things wrong. I'm not going to lie. I am trying, and I did research how to pronounce them, but I might still get them wrong. But yeah, the Red Bull that we know today is actually derived from a Thai energy drink called Krating Dang, which Austrian Dietrich Mateschitz first tried after having a bout of jet lag. And long story short, after trying this energy drink, he ended up meeting with the Thai energy drink creator, Kallio Yuvidia. They ended up co-founding Red Bull and launching on April 1st, 1987, together. And upon their launch, they were the first of their kind caffeinated energy drinks, thus creating history and starting their very long journey into the world of caffeinated energy drinks and extreme sports, which for some reason go hand in hand, you know? After the launch of the energy drink in 1987, a year later, they actually launched their very first Red Bull sponsored event, which would be known to be the Red Bull Dolomite Man. I hope I pronounced that right. Dolomite Man. And they launched this in 1988. This was actually launched by Austrian skier Werner Grizzly Griezmann, who had a dream of the ultimate extreme relay race. And this race is known by organizers to be the world's toughest team relay race. The literal motto for this sport is when suffering is fun. Now, I don't know about you guys, but me personally, suffering is never fun. No, it's not. This sport is meant for the toughest of athletes, and women are not allowed to participate in it. And Griezmann was able to justify this by saying that he did not want to see women suffer and that it would be incompatible with their aesthetics. Now listen, I don't want to see women suffer. Absolutely not. But let the ladies race. Thank you. In 2017, they did open a side competition where women were able to compete, but man, it took some time, didn't it? But with the launch of the Delightment Man, or however it's pronounced, I do think it's safe to say that Red Bull has been building and creating a very specific name for themselves in the world of extreme sports. In the world of sports in general, I mean, if you think about it, being a Red Bull sponsored athlete is really a huge deal. They sponsor some of the biggest names in the world of sports. And if you're a young athlete looking to be sponsored, having a Red Bull sponsorship under your belt, would be insane. The first athlete they actually did sponsor, funny enough, was Austrian F1 driver Gerhard Berger back in 1989. And I say funny enough because when you look at how successful they've been in Formula One now, of course it makes sense that the first athlete they would sponsor would be a Formula One driver. I'm not saying that they did this, but if there's one thing I've learned is that they are very intentional with everything that they do. I don't think that anything they do is by chance. They're very intentional with their pickings. Let's just say that. But since the signing of Berger back in 1989, they signed up a plethora of high caliber and superstar athletes. They got a lot of athletes under their belt. I'm not gonna lie. They actually first went global with their sponsorship program back in 1994 with the signing of Robbie Naish and Bjorn Dunkerbeck as their first international sportsmen. And from there, as they say, the rest is history. I mean, if you look at the athletes under their roster now that they have signed past and present, you've had some names like Neymar, you've had names like Ryan Sheckler, the McMorris brothers. And I'm saying these names specifically because these are very different athletes in very different sporting genres. And I say that and I highlight that because that is just how many pots Red Bull has their hands in. It's absolutely crazy. They are everywhere. You cannot escape from them. When I say that they're everywhere, I'm not joking. And you'll find them at your local convenience stores, buy their canned drinks. You'll soon realize that they sponsor your favorite athletes. You'll soon see that they're partnered with your favorite influencers. They're also very heavily involved in the arts and gaming culture as well. They actually first delved into the arts culture by launching Red Bull's Music Academy back in 1998. In 2003, Red Bull Studios opened. In 2007, Red Bull Records was launched. And Red Bull Records is known to be an independent record label dedicated to long-term artist development with a global perspective. Their genres include alternative rock, metalcore, hip-hop, pop, and more. One thing that Red Bull will do is they will invest in long-term development when it comes to the people that they have signed under them. They will make that investment. In 2019, they held the first ever Red Bull Dance Your Style World Final, and you guys, I've seen it. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen it. But dance crews are making a comeback in the mainstream. They're here. They're back. Everywhere I look, I'm seeing some dance crews, which I mean, I think it's fun. It gives me Step Up vibes. I love Step Up. But I say this because it's like Red Bull can see the future. It's like they know what will become a popular trend in the future and they invest in it early to reap the benefits of it. For example, as to how they can see things that will turn into a great investment for them in the future is, I mean, if we're gonna talk about Formula One, it's their star driver right now, Max Verstappen. They invested in him at a very young age and had the faith and belief that he would become a world champion. And look at him now, 3 championships later. Great investment for Red Bull. And as I mentioned, of course, they have their hands in gaming and esports as well. You can't avoid them. Simple as that. Turn your head, they're right there. But really, when I was younger, I never actually understood what it was that their slogan meant. It really never made sense to me because back in the early 2000s, I'm not gonna lie, their commercials kind of used to scare me, but the Red Bull Gives You Wings things never made sense to me. And it's now that I'm older and that I kind of understand what it is that they do that things are starting to click for me. Red Bull is the ultimate rebel. I mean, they claimed that title with their full chest. So at the Red Bull Racing 2024 car launch, they claimed themselves to be the Forever Rebel, which I understand why they call themselves rebels because if you really think about it, they are kind of a parent's worst nightmare. Like, what do you mean you sell caffeinated drinks and you're into extreme sports? Like, oh my gosh, scary. But with everything that they do, and with them claiming the Forever Rebel title, I kind of understand their slogan a bit better now. And this may be a reach, but I understand what they mean by Red Bull Gives You Wings. How I interpret it is that they will give you everything that you need to reach the highest of the highs when it comes to your career. They will invest in you, and all you gotta do is just get to the top. All you have to do is just get to the top. And I've seen it happen with athletes that they sponsor. Like, if they give you the opportunity and you can reach the highest level with that opportunity, it's like you're on top. You're flying. That was a reach. I know, but work with me here. Work with me here. We're getting somewhere. You know that in the world of Formula One, they are very, very cutthroat. That is not something that they've hidden ever. But we've also in the world of Formula One have been able to see the successes that their athletes have been able to reach when they are given that opportunity to do so. But to be quite honest, I'm speaking a lot about Red Bull in the world of sports, but that's not actually what made me want to make this video. Funny enough, I've been thinking about this video for pretty much over a year now, and it had nothing to do with them as an energy drink brand or them as being in the business of extreme sports, but it actually had everything to do with Red Bull in the corporate world. As a corporate girly, I'm always on LinkedIn. I'm always perusing on LinkedIn, and every couple of months I'll go on the Red Bull Racing page or just the Red Bull page in general just to see what's going on there. And this was a couple months back now. I don't even know what it looks like anymore. But this is a couple months back now. I went on their page, and the amount of job opportunities that were there was insane. From senior to junior associates to everything STEM to student interns, there's an opportunity there for you if you are interested. That's what it feels like, at least. When I first saw this, I was like, man, these guys are really in the business of investing in some great talent. Like, that's something that has never been lost on me when it comes to Red Bull as a brand, especially when it comes to the amount of opportunities that they have for students. And I can say hand on heart that the amount of opportunities that they had for students was quite shocking in a good way, because it is quite rare to see a big name company like that have so many opportunities for students that are able to start their careers off with, and have a name like that, and having a name like that under your belt is so great for your resume. So once I saw what it was that they were offering in the corporate world, I started to just kind of see them everywhere in places where I didn't think I would find Red Bull. Some of my favorite influencers who have nothing to do with like that, who in my mind have nothing to do with Red Bull, we're in partnerships with them, we're being sponsored by them. You could go on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, any social media app. They are there. And additionally, their marketing is out of this world. From the crazy skydives that they do to that amazing eclipse shot that they had a couple weeks ago to just how they showcase their brand is insane. And I'm just like, are we really doing all of this for energy drinks? Like, actually? There's no way. But like I said, the energy drinks is a side hustle for them to do just whatever they want, which is dominate the world, it seems like, because they're everywhere. So now that we know what we know about Red Bull and how heavily involved they are in pretty much everything like I mentioned, where am I going with this video? Honestly, do I know where I'm going with this video? But where am I going with this video? And what the heck does it have to do with Formula One? And you know what? It has everything to do with Formula One, because as a Formula One creator, I very much observed what it is that all the teams that race in the sport do. And Red Bull was at the top of my list because they do everything. They are a brand that I really respect the amount of grind they put in when it comes to their marketing and when it comes to getting their name out there. They're a company that's been able to dominate Formula One in two different eras. And while they might not be the team that I wake up on a Sunday morning to support, I can give credit where credit is due. I can appreciate their dominance. I can respect their dominance. I most definitely can. And you know what? Outside of Formula One, it's crazy to say. It almost hurts me to say. But outside of Formula One, I actually kind of like Red Bull. Don't jump me. I know. Shock. I know. But in the past year that I've been observing them as a business, I've really respected their marketing, how they interact with their consumers, how they've given so many opportunities to so many different people, and just they're fun. They're a fun brand. Like they do cool stuff. They do cool stuff. So while they might not be the team I support in Formula One, I do enjoy watching their marketing stuff. I think it's cool. I'm not gonna lie. I know. That hurt. That hurt to say. But now that we've given them their praises, I can't not make this video without talking about the elephant in the room. As a Formula One creator, it would be remiss of me to talk about Red Bull and to yap about them without talking about what the heck is going on in the world of Red Bull racing and the Christian Horner scandal that took the Formula One world by storm earlier this year. We're still pretty early in the year, but you know what I mean. Because honestly, this scandal has pretty much had the world of Formula One in a state of disrepute. I'm not gonna lie, it has. Red Bull Racing first joined Formula One in 2005, and under the leadership of Christian Horner, they've had a very successful run. For those of you who don't know, Christian Horner is the CEO and team principal of Oracle Red Bull Racing. On February 5th of 2024, a Dutch newspaper broke the news that a Red Bull employee made serious allegations against Christian Horner. This complaint was said to be, and I'm going to be looking at my screen because I want to make sure I'm getting things right. So when it comes to this, because it is quite a serious matter, so bear with me as I look at my screen while I speak on this. So this complaint was said to be made by a female colleague citing inappropriate and controlling behavior from Christian Horner. When this story first dropped, it honestly did take the Formula One world by storm because of just how unexpected and out of nowhere it was. Not much was said from the Rebel camp, honestly, and not much was said by Formula One or the FIA either. until external pressures were put on them. An in-house independent investigation was launched, but despite this, Christian Horner still continued his role as team principal, which put a bitter taste in many people's mouths because typically, when you're going through an internal investigation, the person who's being investigated in any other role or position would be put on leave until the investigation was closed, and then they would get back to their job if they were found to be clear. But that didn't happen in this case. At the Red Bull car launch, Horner spoke out about the claims and said that claims of inappropriate behavior against him are a distraction for Red Bull. And in my opinion, this was a really toned up thing to say. It was quite a toned up and just silly thing to say because there was zero transparency from Red Bull from the moment this news broke out. Nobody knew what was going on in the camp. And many people were calling for transparency because nobody knew what the extent of the complaints were. It left a lot of people confused and a lot of people uncomfortable. February 18th, Formula One finally put out a statement asking for Red Bull to be transparent, which I think they should have done sooner. Red Bull's a reigning Constructors champion, thus making them really the face of Formula One, and the face of Formula One is the one that is putting the sport in a quite negative light, and they did not speak on it for until days after, and that was due to a lot of pressure that they were getting from the outside world. In addition to Formula One asking for transparency, Toto Wolff and Zak Brown, the team principals of Mercedes and McLaren, two very successful teams in Formula One, also publicly asked for more transparency from Red Bull. On February 28th, Horner was cleared of all charges by the independent investigation. The complainant, however, still did have the right to appeal. On February 29th, after Horner was cleared from the independent investigation that was done by Red Bull, we had Bahrain testing, which was kicking off the Formula One season, and Horner returned back to the paddock. Seemingly, things were all clear for him until they were not, because what happened next shocked everybody. Anonymous WhatsApp texts were leaked to everyone that was important in Formula One. It was leaked to the FIA president, the Formula One CEO, and the 9 other team principals, and all important Formula One media outlets of the alleged text messages between Horner and a female employee. These texts have not been able to be verified, but they're out there. Horner did say that he's always denied the allegations, and that was his statement throughout the investigation. He has always denied the allegations, but what stuck out to me the most is that he actually never denied the text messages. He just said no comment on anonymous speculation from unknown sources. And then from there, we were just hit. It was just a lot of rumors, and we were hit with very unserious PR moves, if we're going to be honest, from the Horner side. We were also hit with the supposed beef between Jos Verstappen and Christian Horner. I know nothing about that. I don't want to know anything about that, let's be honest. But the one thing that did stick out is that from there, the independent investigation has been appealed and is going through the appeal process right now as we speak. That's pretty much the Christian Horner scandal in a nutshell. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with anything that I spoke on earlier in the video? As I said earlier, I think the second most successful venture on Red Bull's end is Red Bull Racing, and I think that whatever happens at Red Bull Racing can impact the brand as a whole when it comes to the business of public relations, PR. One, by not suspending Christian Horner and allowing him to continue his daily team principal duties, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it kind of sets precedent in the Red Bull camp. For instance, let's say there's another scandal to break in the world of Red Bull, with Christian Horner still being able to work while he was under investigation, would that not just leave anyone else who's under investigation to feel secure enough in their role and secure enough that they will not get fired to continue on working even though they are under investigation? It kind of opens a door where it's like, oh, you can do something bad and we'll investigate you, but you'll still be able to work and get paid for being under investigation. And now I understand Christian Horner is the CEO and team principal, so of course there's a different set of rules for someone with that kind of power. I get it, but I just don't think it's a good look in my opinion. 2, while this is a Red Bull Racing issue, Red Bull Racing is still under the Red Bull conglomerate in general. And when you Google Red Bull, I can guarantee you most of the results you're going to see will have to do with Red Bull Racing in particular. That is what I would say is their biggest PR at the moment. It's Red Bull Racing and the success that they've had in the past few years. And to have a scandal like that at the very top of the page for someone who is not into Formula One, knows nothing about Formula One, or that Red Bull even has a Formula One team, to see something like that at the very top page associated with that brand, it's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. But most importantly, the third thing is, as I mentioned, the independent investigation has been appealed. It is said that the employee has been put on paid leave while they go through this appeal process, and that Horner could potentially be questioned again. And if that is the case, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how easy Formula One can let Horner get away with this again. And what I mean by that is the first time this investigation was brought to light, not a lot was said by the heads of Formula One or by the heads of Red Bull at all, but people, fans and media were making a lot of noise. If Horner were to get questioned again, it really will put a heavy and negative light on the sport, which the sport does not need at the moment, let's be honest. People were already really upset about how they handled the first time around and how the FIA president did that entire photo shoot with Christian Horner to show solidarity with him or whatever. I don't know. It was really unnecessary and just not needed. But most importantly, Formula One has a pretty large female fan base. I mean, here I am making videos on Formula One. They have a pretty large female fan base. And when this investigation was brought to light and with the lack of transparency that we got, it left a lot of fans, especially a lot of female fans, feeling uncomfortable with the entire situation, especially for an industry that is pushing for more women to be in the sport. The way the Christian Horner Red Bull scandal has been handled has been quite disheartening to see. While I'm not naive enough to believe that Formula One and the FIA would make a statement or would take a stance on the entire scandal if he were to be questioned again, I can only wonder, if they did, how that would affect Red Bull Racing as a whole. How would it affect Red Bull, the company as a whole, when it comes to their branding? Because if Formula One were to take a stance against Red Bull and be like, we need you guys to be open and transparent and we're actually demanding it and we need you guys to let us know what is going on in the Red Bull camp, that would not be a good look on the Red Bull brand in general. And as it is their second biggest venture outside of canned drinks, I can only imagine how that would shake up the tables when it comes to how they handle business in the world of Formula One. Because as I said, they're a pretty cool brand. They're a pretty fun brand. They are the Forever Rebels. They're a high caliber brand. And if you're going to be a high caliber brand, you can't have bad business, bad press under your name. But it's been an interesting thing to witness. How Red Bull has been handling the Christian Horner situation. You know, there's rumors about internal fighting within the Red Bull camp. I'm not going to speak on that because I don't know anything about that. I don't work with Red Bull. Couldn't tell you what's going on over there. But we know that there's some going on over there. So it is curious to see what's going to happen following the aftermath of the appeal process when it comes to Christian Horner and how Red Bull is going to handle this for future. Hopefully they don't have any more future scandals, but for future scandals. And that is my video on Red Bull. They're crazy. They're everywhere. You can't avoid them. They also are in racing. If you didn't know that they're in racing, now you do. And they are kind of in a mess right now. And hopefully, whatever it is, whoever was harmed, hopefully they get the justice that they deserve. But thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And if you did like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful day.